Welcome back to the dopest show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but have been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison, the crazy stuff that happened while I was in prison, and God forbid you end up in prison. Want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So, Marshmallow went and claimed him a boy, who we're going to call Duck Sauce. That's what a lot of people called him anyway. So, I went to the medium security. I spent 6 months at the low security, 3 months in the hole, and then I got released to the medium security. The low security had a number of chomos. They're not a heavy number. There's a lot of people for looking at stuff they shouldn't be looking at on the internet, weird stuff, that get put in the federal system. It's crazy because they definitely deserve to be there. But it's crazy because, like, on a state level, people that are actually doing awful hands-on stuff are getting, like, next to no time. They should be getting what the people in the federal system. The federal system's got it right. Put them away. I think we can all agree on that. You might have differences in politics, religion, this, that, but we can all agree we don't like people that mess with the kids. That's something I think we can all pretty much agree on. Unless you're one of them people, then you probably won't like this. But anyway, so I get released to medium security. I don't know what type of prison it is. Okay? There are not SNY or protection programs. They mix and match. So, there are a number of programs at the medium security. There is the RDAP drug program. So people get sent to the medium security from other medium securities. And they're used to serious politicking and stuff like that. And there's a good bit of that going on there too at this medium security. And then there's the LCP program, which is a religious program. See, the RDAP drug program takes a year off your sentence and you get halfway house. The LCP program gives you usually 9 months halfway house, which is like the maximum amount. So basically, it's not like you finish your sentence, then you go stay 9 more months in a halfway house. The halfway house time comes off your sentence. Just for example, real quick, if you get 5 years in federal prison for a drug charge and you're eligible for RDAP, you will get a year off your sentence. That will take it from 5 to 4. You get about 9 months 9 months of good time on 5 years, so that would put you down to 3 years and 3 months. If they give you 6 months halfway house, you will be released after 2 years and 9 months on a 5-year sentence. So that's something people want to do. It can take 18 months off your sentence. You'll get out of prison 18 months earlier. So people do want to go to the RDAP drug program. So a lot of people get sent to other mediums for that. They go to the religious program to get that halfway house time. But there's also a program for sex offenders. It's called the Sex Offender Management Program. And 40% of the people at Petersburg are chomos that are from everywhere. California, Texas, there was even one from Alaska, okay? When they get beat up out there, they send them to Petersburg. They put them in another place first, then they figure, well, they've got to do that program, so they end up at Petersburg. There's a large population of them. Some gang dropouts and stuff got sent there too. Lone Pot Mediums, former shot caller of the Serranos. He didn't do any funky bad stuff. There was a Mexican mafia guy showed up, decided he wasn't paying enough taxes, so they had him jumped off the yard. They sent him out east. That's just how it went. There's an unusual level of violence there too that you wouldn't guess, because when you put all these people, when half the population are normal people that just got put in there for whatever crimes, and then half the population are messed up people, chomos and stuff, the people that aren't messed up are going to terrorize the chomos, as it should be. And you saw a good bit of that happening. And also just there's a lot of weird people too that, anyway. So I get to the medium security, and I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what type of prison it's in. I get put in a particular unit that has a terrible tyrant counselor that is known just as being the worst counselor on the compound. Read every email of yours, do stuff to intimidate you. She did it to me. She'd read every email, and if I said anything about staff, she had a message put to me. Had a message through a case manager. She wasn't even working the unit. She wasn't even the unit at that time. She was like off site, and she was still reading the emails. And she had the case manager tell me. The case manager called me in the office, and he's actually a really cool dude. Actually done jiu-jitsu a little bit, so me and him actually became friends. He's a cool dude for real. Everybody liked him, but the worst counselor. He said, Miss So-and-so wanted me to tell you, she does read your emails. Watch what you say. And I'm like, do what? He says, I'm just passing the message. I know, but I'm supposed to say that to you. And I was like, oh, Lord. So anyway, being that she's a tyrant that does whatever she wants with this unit, I get to this unit and I see these people, about 40 people sitting in front of a TV. This is the only unit on the compound that's happened at, by the way. And it's all because of her. She loves the Chomas and those people because they tell on everybody to her. And by telling on everybody to her, she protects them and makes them her little pets. And it's really a sick, twisted thing when you really look at it. But I see these weird people, this really weird guy get up and turn the TV. And I'm like, wow, you can't judge a book by its cover. If he's turning the TV, he must have some status up in here. No, Chomas had their own TV. It's the only unit on the compound that happened, but yeah, it was that at a place. And I've told this before, but for y'all who haven't heard before, my first day at the medium security, I'm looking at where can I sit, because I heard you might get shanked over sitting in the wrong spot. So, I'm trying to be really cautious, not jump in and talking to anybody, see what everybody's about. So I put my chair against the wall. Everybody else has their chairs in front of the TV. I put mine against the wall. This 300-pound, 350-pound dude who's got his hair parted, has glasses, he looks like comes down, sits down beside me. And I'm just sitting there, look up, and I see him. And then I turn, and he's got his head back forward. And on like the third time, I look up and he goes, "Hi, I'm Strawberry. Want to know why they call me Strawberry?" I said, "No, I don't." He was a deviant. He was he would approach anybody. I seen him. There was a guy at the low security. This just an off story. There was a guy who basically said, "Nah, they wouldn't approach me." Talking about punks wouldn't approach him there. There was this giant man who's 350 pounds, 6'6", behemoth of a man, black dude with face tattoos, and he tells him, "Nah, man," he said, "they would." He said, "They approached me. They definitely gonna approach you." And it blew that dude's mind to know that. But they'd approach, no matter how big, mean, bad you look. These deviants come up and try you, okay? So, that was the first incident I had. The second incident, I was sitting at the email, okay? I was with my no good, dirty ex, who I affectionately refer to as a down dirty hussy, at the time, so I was sending her an email. This guy comes up to me, who we'll call Duck Sauce, Asian fella, skinny, just starts talking, and I'm like, why are you talking to me? He keeps on talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sending my girlfriend an email, and he keeps talking, and then he starts saying some off stuff, and I just said, listen, this is not something I'm confused about. There's some things that are for you, some things ain't for you. Kind of like mayonnaise. I don't have to try it. No, that ain't for me. It just looks nasty. It ain't my thing. And God bless you if you are gay. No disrespect, lifestyle, don't judge anybody, but this was something. This was annoying. This dude came up like relentlessly, and he's like, and I give this whole speech. I'm not confused about it. So can we just end this? Let me get back to this email. And he looks at me like this, and you don't believe what he said. He said, "Yeah, I remember when I thought I wasn't gay too." And then I was like, I went off on him, got him out of there, and I told my cellies, and they're like, "Oh, that's Marshmallow's boy. You're going to need to go talk to him if you had an issue." I'm like, "Marshmallow? What's a marshmallow?" And they tell me who Marshmallow is. So Marshmallow is about, he's big boy. He's probably about 250 to 280, about 30, young. And here's the story behind them, okay? Duck Sauce had been at the prison, was just nasty, not taking showers, not changing his clothes, just stunk, had a smelled like an onion when he walked by, doing his, and was a nuisance. Marshmallow came in, claimed him as his boy. Now, Duck Sauce ain't right in the head. He's got the mentality of probably about a 12-year-old. He's not all there. So that tells you something about Marshmallow going and claiming him. And basically, Marshmallow claimed him as his boy, got him to go start showering and stuff every day, had him cleaning the room for him, basically doing all of his stuff, okay? And that was his boy. But Duck Sauce would run off just trying to deviant. Like, that's all he did was try to go say something to somebody, some nasty stuff. Didn't matter who it was. Didn't matter if they were affiliated. Didn't matter what. And he was terrible, too, about telling on people. They have 6 computers in this pod. It's a triangular-shaped pod, open pod. In the corner of the building, there's this little back part, little square part at the end of one triangle where there are 6 computers. And That's where you send your emails, hook your MP3 up, download your songs, and he'd go on there and he would turn the screen so it was so dim you couldn't see it. And he'd sit an inch away from it, and he'd tell on people. They had a hotline that you could tell on people on. That he'd sit there and he'd have his, so nobody else could see what he's typing. I saw it one time, so he didn't have a screen, and it said, "I have reason to believe that," and I got somebody else to come over. When I come over, he dimmed it so dark you couldn't see it, and I let him have it over that. Me and a few people harassed him. We ended up getting talked to over that. But anyway, I went and had to go talk to Marshmallow. And I said, "Listen, man, I'm trying to be, I don't want any problems or anything, but here's what happened. This duck sauce guy, I heard if I had a problem, I need to come ask you about it. So I'm trying to respectfully handle this thing." He's like, "Oh, what did he say?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't want," he's like, "No, there's no problem." And he said, "Duck sauce?" And he's like, looks all scared, and he's like, points his finger, and you see duck sauce shuffle, kind of like waddle like a duck. And he comes over, we're in the corner of the place, and he's like, "So what were you just I'm like, "Well, I was just telling Marshmallow here about when you come up the computer and how I told you I'm trying to email my girlfriend, and you were like, 'Yeah, remember when I thought I wasn't gay too?'" And when I said that, Marshmallow went, "We talked about this." He said, "This won't happen again." Takes him in the room, smacks him up a little bit. You hear, and yes, so he smacked him up a little bit for it. But basically, they were an item. It was a thing, and that's how things got handled. Okay, duck sauce had absolutely zero sense. He basically, I couldn't help but look it up. Couldn't help but, a lot of the people that were in there, you heard about them and you look it up, and apparently this was like his second, maybe third time messing with underage people. He talked to what was a decoy, and he went and got like on a bus or something and went to go meet it, and he got arrested, and that's what happened, and he got prison time. But yeah, they were an item, and duck sauce wasn't right. Like, there was one time, see, at the microwave, people stand there, you take turns using the microwave, and people make these elaborate meals. Marshmallow, being a big boy, he liked making a whole lot of meals, and he'd have duck sauce running back and forth getting all the stuff. Well, he pulled something out of the microwave one day. This was funny. This made me laugh a lot. Okay, like I said, duck sauce has the mind of a 12-year-old, which tells you something about Marshmallow too, to make him his boy and everything else like it. Some wild people here. Okay, people fry rice in the microwave, cook it for a minute, you got to stir it, cook it for a minute, you got to stir it, and he hands him this bowl that's got the fried rice in it. Well, duck sauce holds it here, well, it burns his hands. Well, instead of setting it down like a normal person, or instead of throwing it up and saying, no, duck sauce looks at his hands and he goes, "Ah!" Sitting there letting the bowl burn him, and Marshmallow turned around and went, "Jesus, duck sauce," and got the bowl and set it down. Make sure it didn't turn that off. But yeah, he sat there and he let the bowl burn his hands. Something else about him. See, I told y'all about the original friend group I had. I hung out with Satan. He was my buddy. Max and other people. Well, Max, he was asking duck sauce something about, "Hey, what time does this happen?" or something, just some trivial thing. And duck sauce looks at him, and midway through talking, duck sauce starts doing this. And Max like, "Whoa, what's wrong with you? What's the problem? Ask me the question." And Max talks for 30 seconds straight again, and he's like, "So, do you know?" And duck sauce just looks at him and does that, and like, oh my God, like, this deviant, I can't. There were times where he would do stuff to mess with people. Like this, okay, it's just like somebody, like, imagine just somebody, you have to live in this unit where there's just a crazy person like, just running through, just doing whatever they want. Some people, he'd mess with people he knew not to. I made it clear. You had to set boundaries with these people. Nah. I'm not doing that. Kind of like Nubby'd walk up. Nubby, there was an inbred from West Virginia. I talked about him. His dad was also his granddad. His mom was also his sister. He popped out with the genetics, and he didn't have fingers. He had nubs, and he'd walk up to people and go, hee. And I had to let him know, don't poke me with that thing, okay? Because he'd do that, because he knew weird people out. And nah, we're not playing that game. Just like with Duck Sauce, people'd laugh because he'd go up and he'd do stupid stuff. Like, he'd go up people and start twerking, like, backing it up towards them. I let, no, we're not doing that. And if you didn't, like, set those boundaries, those people, they were going to be subject, then people were going to laugh like, it's funny because it weirded you out. No, it's not funny. I'm not playing that game. You're not doing that with me, okay? No. And you had to set those boundaries with these people, I'm telling you, because if you didn't, something's going to happen. Now, ultimately, from my understanding, Marshmallow, okay, he was doing like 20 or so years. Him and his boyfriend or something outside were something with videos online, got a good bit of time. I looked this up too. Apparently once Marshmallow was in there, he told somebody something. He told somebody something about something he had done about taking somebody's life. And that person wrote to, I don't know, the feds, whoever, and set something up to where he could get time off for telling on Marshmallow. Ultimately, Marshmallow ended up getting like another 20 years, I believe it was, for an incident where he took somebody's life. So he ended up getting like 40 years in total. That was another thing that had happened. And a whole lot to that I can tell because I wasn't there for that. But I mean, I heard about it and I actually looked that up. And that he got like another 20 years for that, for taking somebody's life. But it's a weird place, man. It was a completely weird place. It was bizarre. Now, Duck Sauce ended up at the low security in my building again. Yeah, lucky me. At the low security, they never lock you down. It's not an open pod. It's like a regular building. It's just like a regular building. Between the top room, you'd have to walk. There are 4 different quadrants. In each quadrant, it's 35-man room with dividers, and you never lock down. You just have to stand in your room. You stand in your room. They walk by. They do count, and then you can do whatever. I'd stay up till 2 or 3. Me, Khalifa, Jay. And then there was this other guy who was from Richmond. We'd stay up watching TV, and you'd see people prowling. There was Paul. Paul was on the prowl. He'd just be walking around the unit waiting for somebody to approach him. Same thing with Duck Sauce. He got caught doing stuff in there. But it's a bizarre place. I'll tell more stories on that later. I don't get too much into anything else. Anyway, if you liked the video, think I earned it, press the like button. If not, that is 18 minutes and 12 seconds of your life, in which you'll never ever get back, and for that I'm truly sorry, but I hope you did like it. Y'all have a good one.